So I'm making a video, I guess answering some questions, I guess you could say. I recently, like yesterday, premiered the video, This is Revolution, a Crisis in Masculinity, Incels, Capitalism, and Patriarchy. And there were two questions that were left that I'm going to try to explain. Full disclosure, I don't know these terminologies, like I'm not heavy in these spaces, but I'm going to draw my conclusion from the definitions and we'll go on with that. As well, there was a comment someone left in the comment section. And of course, once I edit and everything, it will look like what I'm talking about in the video, in the recording. They made a really great comment and I want to highlight that because it summed up the video well, very, very well. In one sentence, less than 15 words, it summed it up perfectly of what I was trying to capture with the response video. So let me pull up the conversation. The first comment that I want to address is Roberto, and he typed, "Antinatalism matters." Now, I know what natal means, like take your prenatals. I know what that means, but I wasn't sure what the term is. I'm going to be honest with you. I really, really know that term. So I Googled it because I am not too proud to be like, look, if I don't know something, I'm going to figure it out. I rather say I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I'm doing my investigation and I'm going to use my noodle and come up with a conclusion, but I'm not arrogant enough to act like I know everything. Okay. So, antinatalism, the belief that it is morally wrong or unjustifiable for people to have children. And that is from the New Oxford American Dictionary. So, I guess Roberto can feel however he feels about that, but I don't believe in antinatalism because that is anti-life in and of itself. And I say this to say, because of the social programmings or the social contracts that we have in today's society, and as well as social programming, whether you can say what we've passed on culturally through our religious practices, our cultural customs, or even just things that we have adapted to, combining cultures together, adapting with a new era of thinking, whatever the case may be. But for the most part, not even just humans, just things in general reproduce. I mean, whether we're talking about viruses, this is why when it comes to viruses, there will never be a cleaning agent that says it removes 100% of viruses, because as viruses duplicate, yes, you will be able to kill the majority of it, 99%, but that 1% that is remainder, that is more resistant, and over time it will duplicate itself and then it'll become a superbug, which is a problem, side note, in hospitals of superbugs, because yes, it is hygienic to clean. Please do, and please continue to do so. However, this is how you, over time, happen to have viruses and bacteria that are super resistant to agents that kill them, like Clorox, bleach, whatever. This is why you can even see it with COVID. There's different strains because they develop and they change and they morph. That's just what viruses do. That's just what it is, right? So if viruses have enough, whether you want to call it sense, universal consciousness, or just adaptability, that's just its functionality, that's just its default settings to duplicate itself. But if a virus knows how to do that, then why would it be somehow not right for us as human beings who are sentient, who have thought, who have forethought, who have empathy, who work as collaborative social beings? If viruses can do it, why can we not do it? It's giving me tease of if a caveman can do it. And honestly, if a caveman can do it, because supposedly we come from cavemen, then why is it wrong for us modern Homo sapiens to do that? That, to me, sounds pretty ridiculous. Now, I'm also saying this as a person who is not 100% on the wave of having children. So I'm not necessarily one of those people who are like pro-life and pro-family. I'm not that either. I'm more like pro-healthy structures, pro-healthy family dynamics, pro-healthy community. And if the family's sick, the community's sick, the environment is sick, I personally would not produce in that environment. I wouldn't want to live in that environment, and I definitely wouldn't want to bring something as benevolent and innocent as a baby into that environment. But that doesn't make me anti-natalism or anti-natal, as opposed to like common sense. And like overall, I would want my children to have a better outcome in life than I. That's what parents aspire their children to be. They want their children to exceed more than them. They want their children to achieve more than them. And that's what every parent desires to do, to brag on their kid. Like, yeah, my kid did this, and my kid went to this school, and my kid lives in this neighborhood. Like, yeah. It's not just a Western thing. It's not just a new era thing. It's not even like a modern society thing. It's just we as human beings throughout the time of history have always found a way to keep some structure of social coming together, social dynamics, as well as reproducing. Like even through, for example, chattel slavery, there was still love between those who were enslaved. There were still unions jumping the broom. What African Americans do, that is from, and it stems from slavery, where two enslaved people couldn't get married if they didn't have rights as human beings. Of course they can't get married, but they made a commitment to each other by quote unquote jumping the broom. And that was their form of like, I hold you as my significant other, you hold me as your significant other. Because of classism, because of racism, because of slavery, we can't have a quote unquote traditional white European, white American style union. But that doesn't mean our union, the commitment that we made to each other via jumping the broom, is any less significant. You see what I'm saying there? So with that being said, it is I don't want to say humanity because I feel like that would be a stretch, but I feel like it's anti like part of being human is to want to reproduce, and not just on an ego level, as opposed to that's just our biological function. Like as much semen as men have, in particular sperm, especially every time they climax, if life was just fair and life was instantaneous, whatever you do, natural consequences, instant, the amount of sperm that men have, every time they quote unquote shoot their shot, they would be able to impregnate women. But that's not the case, because with the woman's body, we have our natural cycle. And every month we have our menstruation. And throughout our menstruation, we are not able to get pregnant. And if we're not fertile, if we're not ovulating, then we can't get pregnant. So relatively speaking, there's 3 weeks out the month for women on average where we cannot get pregnant, where that 1 week of ovulation we can. And I'm saying this to say is that it is a miracle to come into this plane. There's a good chance that you will be a miscarriage, because most women have miscarriages within the first trimester. And many women don't even know that they have an abortion. There's something called spontaneous abortion, and a spontaneous abortion. And a spontaneous abortion basically means what it sounds like, where your body just rejects the fetus. It just rejects the embryo from growing, right? And I say this to say is that even the process of this embryo turning into a fetus, and this fetus hitting each of its trimesters and then becoming a full-on baby ready to come out the birth canal, there is so many different points in that process where like the embryo could spontaneous abortion, the fetus, it could like the pregnancy is terminated in some way, shape, or form. Like it is just so easy for there not to be birth than there is the likelihood of birth happening, especially when you factor in, again, for women, because it's women who have to do the majority of emotional labor, child rearing. And when it comes to pregnancy, it is women who are holding the babies. It is women's bodies who are changing because of the baby. And it is women's bodies who, once the baby comes out of her, it is her body, her breast milk from her body that is nurturing the baby. So needless to say, this is all on women, the whole bringing children into this plane thing, right? Into this world. Age. The older a woman gets, the less fertile she is, and the more likely her eggs start to decrease in its fruitfulness, so to speak. Quote unquote, rotten eggs, bad eggs, horrible terminology, but you get my drift. As well as the body isn't so robust, able to hold the child, carry the child into full term. So like there's only a small window women can actually conceive children, right? As young girls, of course, not developed enough to be able to hold a child and have that child come into this plane. And then once we hit menopause, we're no longer able to birth children into this plane. So I say all of this to say is that if it was like inherently wrong or bad or morally like corrupt to have children, I'm pretty sure whether it's whatever you believe in, creation, or you believe in evolution, we would just not be able to do so, right? Like if we can evolve from a little itty bitty cell to what we are today as human beings, and we surpass the dinosaurs, we surpass Pangea, we surpass a lot of things that has happened on this floating rock, and we're still here, we're still here. So if we were not meant to be here, I'm pretty sure we just would not be here. And if we were not supposed to reproduce, we would just not do so, right? Like we would evolve and adapt to not be able to do so, right? So that's my opinion on that. But again, reproductive rights are your choice. I'm not going to tell anybody what they can or cannot do with their body. That's their business. But also know that there's natural consequences. So whatever you do, hopefully you do it in not only good faith, but you prepare for the good, the bad, the ugly, especially when it comes to children. And I would know because I used to be a caregiver for children. So there's that on that. Another comment that I wanted to discuss. What do I think of Capitalism? I believe that's the term, and it's the same Roberto. And I had to Google this because, again, if I don't know, I'm not going to fake act like I know. I hate that. I absolutely hate when someone cannot just admit that they don't know, or they're just new to it and they just want to act like they know, and they talk about shit that they don't know. And the more that they talk about what they don't know, the more they put their foot in their ass. That's not me. So I found a website. It's called Capitalism.com. The website's kind of giving me very early 2000s, but nonetheless, I'm not going to read everything, but I'm going to read a particular part that gives an example to what is the actual term. So antinatalism and ephilism, more specifically, is the belief that DNA and the suffering of sentient, meaning like the ability to feel feelings, sentient consciousness on this planet are the greatest problem in the universe. Born of nothing but a wasteful, failed experiment of unintelligent design. For whatever reason, the universe initiated. We don't know why. There's something rather than nothing, but there it is. The Big Bang occurred and aberrant science ran amok. It was a mixing bowl, a chemistry set gone wild with all the ingredients leaking into each. Okay, so this is giving me very much doomer tease. This is giving me very much incel tease. This is giving me very much I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. Yeah, it's giving me very much tease of that, okay? And I'm not here to judge. Give me very much emo tees. But from that interesting description of ephilism, and I'm guessing it's on the same wavelength because you're the same person who made the comments on both terminologies, antinatalism. Now, Lord knows I don't know all the answers to life. Lord knows if I knew all the answers to life, I'd be practicing them in my own. I'm doing the best just like everybody else, okay? But from what I gathered from this particular term, ephilism, besides it being life spelled backwards, is the fact that this person feels as if like it's kind of on the same wavelength as atheists who believe like we're just here, there's no God, there's no rhyme or reason, we just happen to be here. And the gag is, before I even started recording, I was like, what if we are the ETs that we're looking for? Like, what if all of this, like, is there extraterrestrial, this, that, and the third out there? And it's really, we are looking for ourselves outside of ourselves. In the same wavelength, if you did watch the initial video that I made in response to This Is Revolution, people get into relationships because they're looking for something outside of themselves. They're thinking that their significant others will heal them and love them and do all for them that they won't do for themselves. Heal them, believe in them, give them self-esteem, be my friend, my lover, my teacher, my companion, my mother, my therapist, all in one, my fuckable nurse, all in one. And that's not healthy. And that's very unrealistic. And I feel like it's the same wavelength as ephilism, in a sense of like, well, because I am lost in the drift of like self-loathing, then nothing in life matters. And again, it's assumptions. I'm reading what I saw off the website and making my own conclusions here. I don't know the full dynamics behind how this term came to be. But from what I'm gathering and what my instincts are telling me, it's on the wavelength of like boomer, zoomer, doomer, bloomer. And I did make a podcast episode about that too. And that was season 3. Episode 22 and 23. It was a 2-parter, but I definitely covered those aspects of social media, society, the way that we interface, the way that life has impacted us and shaped our worldview, and so on and so forth. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely do so. And I talked about how, again, it's personal development. I don't got all the keys, okay? I ain't got all the answers. Like Sway ain't got all the answers and Kanye ain't got all the answers. But I got common sense. I got psychology. I got spirituality, as well as like I have my own sense of humanity. Like I don't know the who, what, when, where, why, but I'm here. We're here. And I think the human experience is what you make of it. I think so often we're looking for a prepackaged, concise, here we go, automative, atomized thing. And life is not that. You can read all the books that you can read. You can watch all the TV shows and documentaries and theories of this, that, and the third. And when it's your turn to play your hand at the game of life, whatever the fuck you plan for, just know that shit ain't gonna go smooth as the way that you thought, okay? It is not as linear as you thought it was. But through this thing called the human experience, you discover who the fuck you are. Did you think like Carl Jung woke up one day and said, God damn it, I'm going to be one of the best psychologists that ever existed? No, he had to find himself. And he found himself through his theories, through psychology, through Eastern rituals and customs, through mythologies, through spirituality systems. And he got deeper and deeper into the subconscious because he was getting deeper and deeper into his own subconscious until he found the collective conscious. Sometimes the mysticalness of life that we often feel oppressed by is a change of perception. And I know it sounds hocus pocus as fuck, but ride with me real quick. The cup can always look half empty if you're always looking for something outside of you to fulfill you. But you could always look at the same cup and be like, it's half full. Right now, it ain't to the top. But if I push certain things around and I do something here and do something right there, and I plan and I map out and, I dot my I's across my T's, slowly but surely, it turns into a full cup. If you already think that this is a losing game, the odds are stacked against you, then guess what? It is a losing game, and the cards are stacked against you, and you really are ugly, and nobody really does love you, and you're gonna die alone. If you believe that, yeah. But if you believe that you're worthy enough, that you are valuable enough, and you have discipline, you have intrinsic values, then guess the fuck what? You are that. Because everything starts with a thought first and foremost. From atoms to atomic bombs, all start with a thought. You feel me? So I don't really know the grand scheme to things, but I do know what I always have known is that you can bet on humanity if you are in touch with your own humanity, right? This is why when someone feels pain, we collectively can sympathize and empathize with them if we're in touch with our own humanity. I can cry for a person from another race, another culture, another ethnicity because I feel their pain, regardless of the culture, regardless of the race, regardless of the ethnicity, because we're both human. In the same way that I can support another person and they could support me because we're both human. What would life be if it was prepackaged? I mean, we humans, we don't like listen to authorities. How many of y'all got your COVID shots? Like, we humans, we don't like being told what to do and how to do it. We grown. And God knows that. So God's going to let you do what you got to do. Sometimes you're going to fumble the bag. That just happens. And sometimes you're going to win. And that happens. But life is truly what you make of it. And it's not easy. And you're not going to get all the answers. I can bet the people you start off with ain't going to be the people you end up with. But that's life. That is truly life. And when you work on yourself, truly work on yourself, you're going to catch yourself. You're going to be like, damn, a couple of months ago, if I went through this shit, I would probably crumble. Yo, a year ago, when I used to hear this type of shit, I used to go berserk. Oh my God. I remember I used to be so mad when that happened. And now you look at yourself, you're like, that's just dust off my shoulder. Or I don't even entertain that type of conversation. Or like, I'm going to meditate on that. You act accordingly. Because when you know better, you do better. And that's the process of life, right? Certain things I feel like in humanity we could have skipped on because we didn't really have to go through that. Like, I feel like child slavery should have never happened. Just like I feel like patriarchy should have never happened. Just like I feel like Nazi Germany should have never happened. Like Papa Doc, Baby Doc should have never happened. So like there's points in history, like Mao should have never happened. Like there's points in history of certain things that have happened where I think they should have never happened because it just shows the demon within. But how do we know as human beings to check that shadow, to check that demon, to love past the things that separate us? If we don't look at our own reflection and see the shadow entity within. On some Michael Jackson shit, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change, him or her or non-binary, whatever you go by, to change his, her, or they ways. Because the utopia, the live and let live, the kumbaya, my Lord, ain't gonna happen by itself now. You're gonna have to put skin in the game to make that thing happen. And too many people are caught up in their own traumas, their gender wars, their culture wars, their religious supremacy, their quote unquote white supremacy, a term that I do not adhere by because no one is supreme over me, okay? But whatever the case may be, we're just so separated into all these shits that don't even fucking matter. Because even science, not eugenics, that's bullshit racism. But real science will tell you, underneath the melanin, underneath the skin, we have the same default settings. We feel the same emotions, okay? We have the same livers, the same spine, the same heart, the same. There is nothing dramatically different on a biological level. In fact, scientists say like the things that make us different, like our hair texture, our skin color, and this, that, and the third, on a genetic level, the cells that make those difference are so minute to the overall structure of a human being that it doesn't even matter. Like the skin color, the hair, all of that is about like 2 to 3%. So insignificant. But we as a society have been harping on that shit for the last, 1,000 years, 500 years? And where has that gotten us? Where's our flying cars? Where's this utopia Atlantis thing that we were supposed to build? What happened to us being without borders and free love and we living in the Garden of Eden, if you're religious? What happened to that? What happened to us being free and living free and loving on each other and being on some like God's children type shit? It's like something happens between like childhood and like adolescence that like starts to slowly kill our optimism, kill our sense of humanity. And by the time we become full grown adults, it's like we are misanthropic, where we hate humanity because we feel so dejected, rejected, despondent, and cast away from society. So to be able to exist in a society that you feel ostracized by, you have to kill your own humanity.
So, dead, that's 500.
How about alive? You want to know how I got these scars? My father was a drinker and a fiend. And one night, he goes off crazier than usual. Mommy gets the kitchen knife to defend herself. He doesn't like that. Not one bit. So, me watching, he takes the knife to her, laughing while he does it. He turns to me and he says, "Why so serious?" He comes at me with the knife. "Why so serious?" He sticks the blade in my mouth. Let's put a smile on that face. And why so serious? Now.
And when you don't have your humanity, you don't have compassion for yourself, you don't have empathy for yourself, you don't have love from yourself, then it's easy to discard another person. This is why when someone who happens to be racist also happens to be homophobic, also happens to be sexist, because those prejudices and biases don't exist in a vacuum. They tend to pile on. And then when you uncover all of those biases and prejudices and bigotry and all that shit, you realize that the person feels so small about themselves, but for them to feel as if they are worth a damn, they have to subjugate and make someone else feel bad. In the hierarchy of things, you know, I always talk about hierarchy on this channel. We have the bourgeoisie Negroes, right? We have the bourgeoisie class. I talked about in my response video to the Grapevine in regards to Jimmy's point. The Obamas and the Beyoncés and the Black bourgeoisies, the Black excellence, they're okay not being the Jeff Bezos and the Bill Gates, because they get to be what is to Bill Gates to the average white person of working and poor class. Beyonce and Jay-Z and the Obamas and the Oprahs and the Lee Daniels, you know, the bourgeoisie class of Black folks, they are the Bill Gates to the average Black person. So even on the hierarchy of things, they may not be the apex. They're not billionaire. They're not owning industries. They're not on the tippy top of the pyramid. But because they are above the average Negro, they're content. They're content. And that's what we see in society every single day. If we could put our boot on someone else's neck, we're okay with the boot on ours, right? If we get to subjugate poor people, it makes us feel better about not being able to pay our own mortgage, right? This is why we freak out anytime we talk about giving services to people, social services. The poor, oh my God, the welfare queens, oh my God. As if those less deservings, if they get their needs met, somehow that takes away from you. But if you were connected to your own humanity, not the things that money can buy you, status can buy you, class can buy you, but connected to your own true divinity from within, then you wouldn't scoff at or feel as if something's being taken away from you when someone else has just as much as you. That is my response to capitalism. I know it's not the response that I guess you were looking for, but that's what I got. And finally, the comment that made me leap for joy internally. So this comment was from John, and he says, men suffer as incels, women most affected. And I was just like, chef's kiss. Because yes, I'm not a man. Lord knows I'm not interested in being no man. Lord knows I'd rather not. Even if I had a choice. And yes, this is patriarchy. I'm not for patriarchy. Patriarchy sucks. But even if I had a choice, and not even on some like trans man, but like if I had a choice to be born as a woman or a man, I would choose XX all day. I'm just saying. With all that being said though, yes, I do believe that incel mentality, that incel, I don't know, you can even call it a psychosis or disorder or whatever the case may be. It could be a personality disorder. I'm not really sure, okay? I only got my bachelor's in psychology, goddammit. I am nobody's doctor. But I do believe that's a real thing. Like, people go through bouts of depression. People go through bouts of self-loathing. Sometimes people take that self-loathing and they harm themselves. Like, that's a legitimate thing. And I'm never going to like make fun of that or dismiss that, because mental health is actual health, no different than you going to the doctor and getting your regular ass checkups. Mental health is health. Mental health is important because your brain runs the ship called the body, right? If you have no oxygen to the brain, that means the brain is dying. And if the brain is dying, the body dies. Because even, again, if we were not meant to be here, we would not be here. The brain does things that we don't need to tell the brain to do. You don't need to tell your brain to blink, but here you are blinking. You don't need to tell your brain to breathe, but here you are breathing. So if antinatalism, again, sorry, I gotta point it out here, euphilism was a legitimate thing, then once you became depressed, wouldn't your brain be like, all right, system not breathing, but here you are breathing? If we were not meant to be here, every time we had like suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations or things of that nature, we would commit to it in totality each and every time. If we were meant to X-nay ourselves, we're meant to Jim Jones Kool-Aid ourselves. Humans have a natural fear of dying. Humans have a natural desire of living. So this euphilism, natalism thing, I can't rock with that. But anyways, back to the comment though. I do believe men suffer from incel. I think it's a legitimate thing. I'm not going to hold you. In the beginning, listening to incels and whatnot, I just wrote y'all off as crazy and weirdos and just rejects and like you need to get over yourselves. And to a degree, I still do think the same way. I'm not going to lie to you. However, I do believe it is a form of some type of affliction that is triggered, and one could even make the argument started from society's ills in regards to the economy, economics, capitalism, patriarchy, and like the expectation that all men can make it and that all men will make it and then all men can be brads. I think some of these incels are very entitled, especially to women's bodies, but a lot of them, like everybody else, put in the hard work, did the right things, and now they find themselves in a precarious situation that they can't even really ask for a lending hand. They kind of feel like they are on their own island trying to survive. But like, that's what late stage capitalism is. We are all trying to survive with our integrity and hopefully without a baby on our hip, struggling. I'm not going to say like it's full blown depression, and I'm not here to diagnose anybody. I'm just here to encourage you to be your best selves, because when you're your best selves, then you could be your best selves for other people. And when other people are their best selves, they can be their best selves for other people. So we're all being our best selves, constantly changing and evolving and being better. I like that. But under the system of patriarchy, capitalism, and how it's turning men into incels, that is not the outcome, unfortunately. And I'm not going to lie, I really don't have the answer for men, besides men need to collectively come together, especially those who do feel like they're outcasted, who do feel like they're subjugated, who do feel like they are left behind. I think these men need to come together and not beat on women, or as the left would say, punch down on women. And again, this is figuratively and literally, because men do commit most of domestic violence reports and acts, but figuratively here, punching down. Instead of punching down, it just would be easier to, again, put your boot on someone else's neck who's lower on the social ladder, which would be, again, God, man, woman, child in the hierarchy of things. It's easier to punch down on women. It's harder to punch up, especially those who have their boots on your neck. It'd be advantageous for those who feel left behind. And it doesn't even have to be just incels and MGTOWs and red pills and blue pills. Everyday men. If you work at the warehouse and you know your labor is being exploited, join. If you feel as if you are a struggling artist and your artwork isn't being respected, join. If you are a young man who feel like you have no options but to join the military and that's against your moral code, join. Get all the men who feel like this society is not working for them. And instead of punching down on women, you collectivize, you come together, and you list your demands and make that thing happen. But make sure in those demands and collectivizing, you include other people who may not be men, but who too feel subjugated, who too feel outcasted, who too feel left over. And those would be those who are disabled. Those would be those who are homeless. Those would be those who are leftover women. Those would be those who have student loan debt and feel like they are crushed before they even have a start in this thing called life. Come as a community, come as a collective to stand behind each other, because we are truly all we got. Jeff Bezos ain't scared because two disgruntled people are disgruntled. Jeff Bezos is going to start to sweat if 10,000 people is on his dome. And he's going to shit bricks if he finds out millions of Americans are on his motherfucking neck. But if we don't collectivize and we stay in our little hubs and we're arguing, we're fighting and we're dragging, and it's the culture wars and this side is right and that side is wrong, and none of our needs get met. And Jeff Bezos is on his second dick rocket while you barely can break even. So yes, men do suffer incel. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not an incel expert. I don't really like to be in that space. That space is very dark and very, no shade, the energy. But I also agree with women are affected. Reflecting on the video that I made in a response to This Is Revolution, I thought about the clips that I use with women, in particular Black women, the hot girls, and it's all sexual, which was the point of the video. And women are affected under patriarchy because it turns us into concubines. It turns us into concubinage. Whereas, for example, in the past, the Ottoman Empire, which would be like modern day Turkey, like, yes, they had concubinage and just different empires, different system of things. Like, yes, concubinage isn't something that's new, but concubinage was usually like, war, kill the men, rape the women, kill the boy offsprings. Like that's how it tended to be in the distant past and probably still to this day. But today, the concubinage is kind of like the red light district where it's like, I'm going to try to explain this because I have not yet said it in a way that I agree with, but I'm trying to get to a closer definition that makes sense to me, that makes sense, that I will be able to convey to y'all so it makes sense to y'all. The modern day, like, sexual agency of women today, to me, is very icky because it stems in concubinage. And because we live in patriarchy, women cannot flaunt their sexuality as freely and as robustly and as nonchalantly as men. When men say, I take my dick out, I got my Johnson wax, I be fucking these hoes, I spray in her face. Women are like, ew. Pick-me's are like, and men are like, hey. That tends to be the reaction while he's getting dapped up. That tends to be, or high-fived, or whatever non-black people do when, you know, if you don't dap up. Or a handshake, or a bro code, or whatever, right? When women talk that, even the Meg Thee Stallions, it's sex shaming, that pussy is loose, and the pick-me's are like, oh, she's a hoe, but I'm wifey. What high quality women does, but the low quality women does. And then you're the Jezebel spirit if you're religious. It never turns out the same. And even though Megan has, and the rapper girls and the high paid prostitutes, the escorts, the OnlyFans girls, the Ashley Madison girls, like, yes, they can buffer it with saying like, I got money, but like that still doesn't give you the same access to like, hey, like the men. The only exception I have been able to see is Young M.A. in that rap space because she's a lesbian. She is a masculine woman. I was trying to get the right terminology because I didn't want to get canceled. I was going to say something else. So I was trying to say the right terminology. She is a masculine presenting woman, right? And she has a deeper like tone of voice. She has like a bass thing going on. She talks about she got a strap. She dresses like a quote unquote man. So she's the only one who can get away with like talking all that like I bed. But it's not that she's talking about bedding men. She's talking about bedding women. And because she presents in that masculine energy, to a degree, she's safeguarded because she has that adjacent bro code, if you get my drift. Because she presents as a man, she has like pseudo male validation when she talks about the same greedy sexual conquering of women like the men do. But it never is even Stevens for women. And honestly, when women are hypersexual in a public manner, it brings out the weirdos. Like for men, it might bring out men who desire them in that way, but a man can check another man, and oftentimes they do, especially homophobic rappers, they certainly do. However, men are scared some woman is gonna jump out the bushes and like tackle him down and like ride his face. That's not something no man is particularly worried about. But the average woman, again, dressing up in that sexual energy, if she doesn't have the buffer of money, she is open season. And even when she has the buffer of money, that doesn't stop people from being crazy. Like Taylor Swift, plain Jane, Wonder Bread, we will never, ever, ever. She had a stalker. I think she still got a stalker. So it doesn't matter what kind of girl you are, whether you're a nasty honesty girl, or you're more a conservative, my father type of girl. In this patriarchal society, owning your sexuality can be a dangerous and costly price, especially if you are under the disillusion of not all men are like this, and there is a Prince Charming on the other side, and oh, he just loves me, that's why he's extra controlling, aka protective. Like, because women are socialized to chase the male gaze, when they dress up in the concubine image, they think they are winning until they realize the same guys who are like, yeah, you my main bitch, is the same guy who's going to turn around and be like, face down, ass up. It's the same guy who's going to parade you around like Donna Lee and the baby. Yellow bonus, what he wants, yellow bonus, what he wants. Then she gets pregnant, has his baby, and she's crying on Instagram Live, just like all his other dark-skinned baby mamas, but she light-skinned. Donna Lee, the other baby mamas, both dark-skinned. That's why she was talking about yellow bonus, what he wants. But she gets the same treatment as the dark-skinned.
Yellow bonus, what he wants, what he wants. Yellow bonus, what he wants, what he wants, what he wants. Para Miguel se lo van, para Miguel what I want. Yellow, what he want, what he want. Yellow bonus, what he want, what he wants, what he wants. Para Miguel se lo van, para Miguel what I want. Said he need a lit bitch, so he had to switch. Let me think a rich bitch, work me out, fitness. Do my dance on the stage. When he shoot, he don't miss. Tight grip, wife this, real bitch, don't switch. Real bitch, don't switch, don't. Real bitch, won't switch, don't switch.
This is real life. This not the shit with your parents. No, let's get you one now. Do you need help? Let's get you a jet. You have to leave. Shawty got to go. Like, what's up? I can't leave. Look at this. I can't leave. I've been sitting up all night. I can't get no sleep. This is sleep. Okay. This is get out. This is get out. Mix it. I'm not trying to be. Listen.
You're not. You're not. He's a great father. Okay. And you know that, Dave. Okay. He's a great father, right? Okay. He's a great father. Okay. No, he's a great father, right? Sure.
She's a crazy bitch. You wasn't my girl.
I wasn't your girl.
Danielle.
I wasn't your girl.
You ain't never been my girl.
Brother is right there.
My brother.
He call me his girl all the time. Don't he call me his girl all the time, Darius? Don't ask your people.
Darius.
They know me as your fucking girl.
What you know, Shawty is, Darius?
Oh my God.
What you know, Shawty?
No.
Bro, hey, look, bro. This nigga know to have that phone out, man.
That's funny.
This is some trapper black nigga shit playing gone wrong.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Stop fucking show.
Yeah, this is trying to trap a nigga gone wrong. I'm not going.
Trap a nigga? Are you crazy? Shawty, you just came at me last night, you idiot.
Shawty, you beg me. You be begging me.
Last night, you idiot.
This some jail. Somebody tell Maury to call baby, man. Let me run up a quick 10M.
Yeah, okay. Don't ever
Let me run up a quick 10M. Somebody tell Maury to call me, man. Let's put this shit on Maury. Shawty is more material. Get up out my crib. Come on, get off my table.
Get outside.
This is come out here.
Oh my God.
Get up off my table, Shawty.
Oh my God, no.
No, this shit staying on. Call them people to come get Shawty up out my spot.
Go ahead,
please,
call them to get you and your child out your spot. Go ahead.
I'm stuck. Hey, help.
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 You're such a fucking dick.
Help me, nigga. Hey, why you sitting there? Do something. Do something, bro. And where's my baby?
Oh, you don't
see what I'm saying? Like, Steph, come on.
Your baby is sleeping. I just put her to sleep.
Go back there with her. Or go.
No.
See what I'm saying?
Talking about my business like that.
Girl.
Ain't nobody was a part of my pregnancy. You weren't a part of my pregnancy. You don't need to tell nobody nothing. The fuck?
So she don't want me to put out her real business what her and her family got going on. That's the real issue.
That's not nothing to do with us.
This girl got a real,
that has nothing to do with us.
A real Matilda story type shit going on, you know.
Look at you.
That I tried to save my child from.
Save your child from.
She got to save her face. Her family got to save her face. My family's not in the industry. Me being in the industry, that take care of my family. It's a difference.
16 years old. Sorry, that's why.
I didn't want to. Hey, look. Right? Yeah, I didn't. You know. I didn't skeeted in the wrong thing. I got to deal with what come with that.
Yeah.
But my last name Kirk is what I do.
Okay.
So I take whatever come with that full responsibility. But Shawty is cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. Okay. Shawty is cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. And Shawty is not my girl. Ain't never been my girl. Is my side bitch.
It's your what?
My side bitch. Shawty is a certified side bitch.
Fucking embarrassing me like that.
Shawty is a certified side bitch. Just trying to act like she know. No, let's take it there. Her parents know she's my side bitch. Everybody knows she's a side bitch. She don't want y'all to know she's a side bitch. She got to save her face. She got to crash all the way out. Call them folks. Save me. Help. You see how Shawty went storming off when that truth came out. Listen, so let me finish telling y'all what I'm telling y'all. Miss me with all that. I'm not going. I had to show y'all I'm not going. Shawty crazy. I'm not gonna be the one to play that game, you feel what I'm saying? And I'm gonna take care of them kids. And if this will come with it, this will come with it. But Shawty being obsessed with my other baby mama, stalking my first baby mama, goddamn, interfering with the way, you know what I'm saying? I'm raising my child, my oldest child, like, that shit burned out, you know? I'm a grown man with standards, you know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man with standards. And regardless of how shit play out, you know what I'm saying, and what situation I'm put in, I'm gonna stand on the business. And if me standing on the business mean me doing everything to take care of a kid, cool. If the mama is set up the way the mama set up, that's my work I gotta put in, that's my responsibility, you know. I'm the one got myself into that, so I gotta, you know, I gotta deal with that accordingly. But at the same time, we're not going for none of that, for that shit turning into me getting accused of this and looking like that. No. When police got called, because Shawty was in here running around doing crazy shit.
Because you want to fuck both of us.
See what I'm saying? Like, this is not.
I think I'll be okay with that.
You are not my girl. Like, you gotta.
I'm not your girl, but it's okay. I'm gonna post everything since we've been talking.
I'm gotta listen. That's
3
cool.
years ago, and I'm not your girl. Masterpiece. What the fuck? Why the fuck would you have me in a video? Okay, whatever the fuck. Whatever, bro. Why would you have me around your family? Whatever, bro. Why would you have me in your house? Why would you have me have a closet in your home? Why would you have me have a bathroom?
Okay, look, we're gonna check out right now. You know, y'all got my perspective.
Yeah.
I gotta get back to pushing the new project out.
That's why.
Y'all be good. Go stream Look Like Something.
She's still humiliated. She's still embarrassed. He still treats her like trash. He still calls her out her name. Did she really win? Did she really come up by being a concubine? Of course not. Because concubinage is a trap. How do you argue or bargain your power chip if you're literally face down, ass up? How is that empowering? How does that show that you have strength when you are literally on your knees? So women are most affected because oftentimes, which something I wanted to say in the video, totally forgot to say it, and then totally forgot to edit it in the editing phase, but here it is. The quote that I'm about to say is so ever present in today's society, and it goes, men use love to get sex. Women use sex to get love. So in the example, you're seeing that on both sides, men and women, they are engaging with each other, but not being in complete honesty with the other person about what their intent is. Men are using romance to get sex. Women are selling themselves short by using their bodies to get what they want. But ultimately, we all want that sense of bonding. We want that sense of safety, comfort. We want to know that someone cares about us. We want to know that the person that we care about is equally invested. But because of capitalism and the lack of self-worth due to capitalistic and classist expectations, we deny our true wants. On top of that, like, a lot of people haven't resolved their shadow as well. So like, they are all about themselves and really are empty inside. So they can't even give you the best of themselves, because they don't even give the best of themselves to themselves. And they're expecting you to fill in the blank for them, right? But on top of that, because of capitalism and the fact that a lot of people are in debt, a lot of people don't have extra funds, a lot of people can't live the Instagrammy couple goals aesthetic, we deny ourselves the ability to form true relationships. And then we default to, I take mine's F you, get that bread, get that head, and leave. Or I'm a savage, or I don't do relationships, the side chick situation. It's not complete investment, because both sides are looking for something outside of themselves and expecting someone to fit their narrative, give them what they need, while they don't have to invest in totality. So I get mine's, F yours. And we're seeing how that is damaging us, but also damaging the way we socialize with each other and how we develop relationships, particularly romantic relationships. Because men have been able to manufacture this image of what women want, right? That's why they will game women. They will give each other cheat codes. And this is how you play a woman. This is how you get the put. Like, yeah. They'll even future fake, which is like, yeah, I want children. I want to get married. I want to stuff. All of that just to get into the panties. Whereas women will compromise maybe their stance. Like, I usually don't have sex on the first date, but like, I feel like you're special. Or women who know that they got it, their body's popping, they're looking like a Meg Thee Stallion. They know that they could use their natural bodies to get what they want.
Horny, feed me, I'm hungry. He love hood pussy, so he fuck me in my bonnet. Only niggas hate me is the ones that can't afford it. This is a motherfucking broke nigga warning.
We seen this with Kim Kardashian, from the sex tape with Ray J to Kim Kardashian, ex-wife of Kanye. Of course, she wasn't a poor, white, let's say West Virginia woman. Of course, she came from means. Her father was literally the lawyer in the O.J. Simpson case. Like, yeah. However, her star power and her bargaining chip rised when she was face down, ass up. So concubinage is an angle women do play into, oftentimes for survival. But for Black women, oftentimes it does not get us to where we thought it would. Because of racial politics, gender politics, Black women being double minorities, it doesn't work in our favor. Because when we express ourselves sexually, we were already seen as sexual things, right? The bed wench, terms even Black men today use to describe Black women. But bed wenches, or bed warmers, or the cotton club, or, getting some jungle pussy on the side. Like, it was always seen as like, if you can't get a white woman, you can always get off on a Black woman or girl, right? Even with Sarah Bartman, she was a Black woman who got kidnapped from South Africa, sold into a traveling circus show, kind of like the Blue Man Group, and they exploited her, took her around the country, around the world, and this time more like Europe and the United States, displaying her body like she was a freak of nature, just because she had wide hips and an abundant derriere. They literally treated her like some subject, like some animal, something to be prodded, something to be seen, something from like a horror movie, something behind some type of like 3D effect, like she wasn't a person. So oftentimes when women, in particular Black women, dress up in this sexual energy, they don't see themselves as women, and they're not treated as women. They're treated as literal, like, walking sex dolls, which sex dolls today have dramatically changed. Like, Lord have mercy. Wow. But Black women have always been seen as like, if you can't get a white woman, you can at least get off on a Black woman. And for Black women today, dress up in that image, to me, and I'm just speaking for myself, it just confirms those racist and sexist and bigoted and anti-human, quote unquote, white supremacist, but definitely colonized minds, imperialist intent. That just confirms it, that Black women are nothing but skeet treats. And it's bad enough Black men keep on reinforcing this racist and sexist depiction of Black women, but to see Black women dress up in that energy, it reconfirms why 60% of Black girls are sexually abused by the age of 18. It reconfirms why Black women have the highest out of wedlock rates. It reconfirms why Black women are less likely to get married. And though it's not being said, it is implicated. Because yes, the white girls, the Selena Gomez, the Taylor Swifts, and all the other ones, the Billie Eyelashes, they don't gotta do that to sell records. They just gotta exist. Ariana Grande gotta hit you with a dolphin whistle. That's it. She might twerk a little non-existent butt cheek. Maybe have a little trap rap, trap aesthetics, trap-like beats. And boom, #1 record, crossover hit, might have a Doja Cat jump on the record, make it a remix, boom. But it's the Black woman who got to do extra. It's the Black woman who got to talk about her throat game, her pussy walls, what did ass do? It's the Black woman who got to come out here butt ass naked on some Sarah Bartman shit. And I'm not going to hold you. That shit really does fuck with me. And I'm also not going to hold you. The reason why I knew what pictures to get to put in that video is because I listen to these girlies. I know what they say. I know who they are. So I don't sit there and judge them and castigate them. But I'm pretty sure you would be asking by now, okay, so you don't agree with what the rap girls represent. You don't agree in totality with their lyrics. So why do you still listen? And why do you seem pro them? And the reason why is that who am I to tell someone how to express themselves? Who am I to tell someone how to own their sexuality, display their sexuality, advocate for their autonomy? Who am I? And just like the hot girls, I'm grown and I do grown shit too. So I don't know if that's toxic femininity of me to see the toxicity in the rap girls and still listen. I don't know. Maybe this is like men listening to trash ass rappers say trash ass shit and then be like, I agree, it's trash, but then be bumping it to the highest maximum volume. I don't know. But I feel like for women, in particular Black women, we are so picked and prodded and looked down on and chastised and villainized. I don't want to add an extra layer of disdain onto Black women. That's not me saying that I'm not going to critique, and that's not me saying that I'm going to be dishonest and be like, yeah, I think the image that you're portraying is of our highest honor. Of course not. I'm not going to lie. But I'm also not going to shame, especially when it comes to Black women and their bodies, which is often prodded, whether we're talking about the Lizzos and fat phobia, whether we're talking about Megan and her fat ass. I don't want to contribute to that. But what I will say is, like, be very careful. The image that you put out there is not just an image of you. It speaks volumes because, unfortunately, in this stereotypical, atomized society, when we see one person of a particular group, we tend to slap the whole group under the same umbrella. And no, none of these celebrities represents the average person, especially not the average Black person. We ain't got capital like that. However, I don't want to be a part of the crowd that tears down Black women and don't put anything in that place that I just tore down. I'm going to critique, but I'm not going to destroy, if that makes sense. But I also don't sit there and parade that shit because I know on so many levels how destructive that shit is. Not only from a global point of view of Black women being just the harlots of society, but also on a psychological point of view. Because what does it say to the next Black girl when life gives you lemons, pop them pussy cheeks? Like what? Life gives you lemons, suck a dick. Like what? Like if you ain't got nothing else going for you, show them titties. Like what? Like never mind exercising your brain. Never mind working on your emotional skills, your empathy, going to therapy, getting on a workout plan. Never mind reading. Never mind doing any existential work. All you got to do is make sure that ass is fat. What? I don't agree with that message, especially again for the fact that a lot of these Black women have been Black girls who've gone through a lot of trauma. Poverty is trauma. Abuse is trauma. Rejection is trauma. Parent alienation or parent abandonment, like those are real issues. And to dismiss all of that to be like, girl, all you got to do is have ass and titties and everything is great. I don't co-sign that. So, yeah, women are affected by patriarchy because oftentimes we have to resort to our basic element, which is our wombs. Either I marry this man, bear him a son, and I'm taken care of. Or I marry this man or I'm his sexual object and he'll take care of me. Yeah, I gotta let this man hump up on me while a tear falls from my eye and I cover my face because I'm humiliated and I feel a lack of dignity. However, the money he puts on the dress is going to allow me to pay these bills, going to allow me to get formula and Pampers. Like, that's a legitimate thing. So, yes, women are affected by patriarchy. Because if we can't use our brain power, i.e., be able to generate the same amount of wealth and opportunities on the social economic ladder, i.e., the American workforce that has a gender and race pay wage gap, no one's hiring or they hiring in for pennies on a dollar. Oftentimes women, especially if they are the person who is burdened by care work, they are the sole provider or the main provider for children and those who are elderly or those who are dependent, they often do turn to selling their bodies. And that's a rabbit hole, like, honestly, it can take you deep, deep, deep into despair. Whether we're talking about, like, the lack of boundaries with your bodies, whether that means drug addiction, so you're escaping the act because it makes you feel so low, whether it's allowing men to do what they want to do with you, if the money's right, whatever the case may be. Patriarchy does corrupt women to a certain degree. And it's kind of sick because it sets women up early in girlhood to believe Prince Charming and white picket fence and a carriage and love and marriage and all this aspirational bullshit. And women are chasing that, looking for that, yearning for that. And then they get hit with reality. And that shit smacks them upside the head. And they think that there's something internally wrong with them because the love that they're looking, that Disney promised them, can't be found on Tinder, can't be found on Hinge, can't be found on Coffee Meets Donut or all these other dating sites. Then they feel like there's something inherently wrong with them and not Disney, who bullshitted them from the beginning. And toxic patriarchy, because women will cry about toxic patriarchy while they he and ha in front of their brother saying the most trash ass, sexist ass, misogynistic ass, chauvinist shit. She won't check him because, that's my brother, that's family. But then will suck her teeth and roll her eyes when she hears somebody else's brother being misogynistic, sexist, and chauvinistic. She'll check that other person's brother, just won't check hers. Because that's family. Kind of like Cuomo. But then Cuomo got Cuomo'd. Andrew and Chris. So, birds of a feather. But I think I said everything that I needed to say. Oh my goodness, I thought this was only going to be a 20-minute video. Of course, it turned into an hour because I can always talk. But those are my comments. Those are my opinions. Please let me know if that answers. I know that wasn't necessarily the answer that you're looking for, but that's what I got for you. That's life. That's literally life. When life gives you lemons, what you gonna do? Pop that pussy? Or you gonna make some lemonade? But y'all let me know what you think in the comments below. And I am out. Peace.
I can give you all, but what's left to me? Talking like you've been there, but you ain't never knew me. This time you can't pull up, it's a new me. You ain't got a shot to shoot it, you ain't got a vibe to lose. On my solo dolo rendezvous, taking news, none of them for you. Body like a guy, love the moon, let my only charge. Working way too hard, broke my heart, but I brushed that off. Maybe I'm just too soft, maybe I'm just too raw. Baby, that's just my law. Don't wanna wear no bra, don't wanna go too far. You gon' flip, but I love the trip. Like you way too much, you gon' flip if I scam again. Not gon' take that loss, yeah.
Hold up, hold up, hold up. Wait, hold on, holiday. You can't give it to them dry like that. You gotta get that shit wet first. You gotta prep them for shit like that. Bring that shit back. Bring that shit the fuck back. Fuck is a line to all of my friends. We always get in, we under the age, but they buying us gin. I'm sad and depressed, don't see none of these men. I want they coke and they hen. I got a joint in my hand, he got a blunt to his lip. Ill, anxious as fuck, I can't sit still. All out of luck if my drink spill. Only throw up when I'm bottling up. I got hidden emotions, I take a deep hit and I put it in motion. I'm plucking these petals and cooking up potion. It's hocus, it's pocus, new focus, new pussy, it's popping. I'm chosen, I knew it, I grew it, I'm fluent. You doubting my music, I'm ruling supreme. She wanna follow my lead, Dolce the Dean, casting a spell for this gleam. Channel my goddess, I planted my seed. Yeah, I'm that A, fuck a plan B. Like what he see, bet he slanging that D. I make him breathe, open that door, I took a peek. He wanna leak in my sheets, he gonna sow what he reap, give what he keep, yeah. I can give you all, but what's left to me? Talking like you've been there, but you ain't never knew me. This time you can't pull up, it's a new me. You ain't got a shot to shoot it, you ain't got a vibe to lose. I understood the assignment. I understood the assignment. I understood the assignment.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God.
11-11, that 1 and that 7, the city take another bitty by the day when you're heaven, my finger itching for that, like a boy in a river. I'm clairvoyant, nigga, you ain't gotta lie, I can smell it. Too slick for the pigs, nigga, what's your endeavor? Tampa niggas know the lingo, pussy, money, and weather. Yeah, we famous together, you ain't checking on me, I can tell you desperate and jealous. Nigga, fuck is you selling? Cranking in my pennies at the school, spitting the fellas. If you ain't part of the city, then you ain't picking your melons. If you ain't pitching your business, well then you're probably irrelevant. Nigga, none of us celibate, fuck the game for the hell of it. I'm just looking for a biddy who can fly me at the mental. Plus I with my nigga and you better hope it's gun tuck. Pussy getting wetter and it's softer than a gun drop. When I'm in Atlanta, I be whipping in the sun top. Sorry, I be tripping, I be itching for that gun cock. He ain't getting money, then you worry about the wrong cock. Living out a bum box, now we pushing pop rock. Nigga got the block high, ever since his song fly. Blowing up, I'm speeding up, I'm picking up my pace. Bounty on my booty, then I fucking with my race. When I read my loud, they be thinking that it's lace. Bitches getting loud, by to put her in her place. I do this shit for fun, and you doing it for fame. You a fake, you a fraud, you a flim. Don't you little slim? Cut the beat up, one take, one trim. Nigga, you're a them. What? Launching my brain, I just started a what? Saved up my bands, I just brought a new what? Open my chakra, I open my what? Staff getting bigger, should buy us a bus, huh? Nigga bite into the bone, huh? Boy, you teeth and suck your thumb, what? Making money from my phone, huh? Don't you finally in her zone, yeah. I really...
And another side note, it's interesting how we will live and die and never, ever, ever in our entire lifespan on this earth use our 5 senses with our brains. But our brains control this whole thing called the body. And not only the body, but it's the brain that controls our 5 senses. And what I mean by that is that the brain will never get in contact with the five senses. Your brain will never be able to smell, taste, hear, feel, or actually see. Your brain just interprets all of your senses, but the brain in and of itself cannot do that. Like your ears are meant to hear. That's what it does. Your hands are meant to feel and hold. That's what it does. But the brain in and of itself does none of those skill sets. And the gag upon all of that is that you will never, ever, ever be able to see your own fucking brain. But without that little bastard, nothing exists. Not you or this thing called life or your interpretation, because again, perception is reality. Your perception of this thing called life reality. Even this thing called consciousness. Not just consciousness in the sense of like higher knowledge, but consciousness in the sense of right or wrong. All of this is being computerized and analyzed by this thing called the brain. Something that you will never ever see, hold, taste, smell, touch, hear, or anything. Now tell me that's not bizarre.